If you're doing an Indiana Jones costume, there's a couple essentials you really have to have. The hat, the shirt, the pants, the whip. It's nice to have a coat, but he doesn't always wear the coat throughout all the movies. But one thing he has all the time is his satchel. You can pay $50, $60, $70 for a really junky costume version, or you can pay hundreds of dollars for a screen accurate version. For what I want to do, it looks better than the costume version, and this cost me $40, and with a little modifications and hacking, I think I got something to store all my loot. So let's go to a top-down shot and get into all the details on how you can make one of these of your very own that's really rugged and realistic looking for around $45. So let me walk you through my design thoughts on this. Originally I was just going to make it out of raw cloth, but time is of essence and material would cost almost as much as this bag did. I think it's a 1-inch strap, yep. And you could get it brown, black. This can be green, tan. This is coyote. Tried to get something in between. I've seen black straps, brown straps. As far as the hardware, you don't need to go with this. You could easily go with these key rings, but I've got these D rings that match this hardware here, so that's what I'm going to go with. This detail is on the pack in the original. It's up here, but not too bad distance wise. Now it is black, so I'm going to take some rub and buff and turn that into a gold or a brass. I just happen to have gold, so that's what it's going to be. You can get a really crummy prop bag for about the price that I'm building out this really solid bag here. Now this actually has a piece of hardboard to keep it in place. These straps are not where I want them to be. If you didn't want to use this strap, you could get away with using this strap. The Indiana Jones bag doesn't have a detail like this, so I'm going to actually cut this off. So I'm just carefully trimming this off. I don't want to cut into the bag in any way, shape, or form. This is canvas. It comes off pretty easily. And if it's just a frayed edge, so be it. Not a big deal. Looking at the bag again and again and again, just trim it off. Like that. Put that to the side. You never know when you might use that material again. So let's put this over here. And it doesn't take long at all to make this bag, or to mod this bag, to make it fairly close to screen accurate. Like we used to say in test pilot school, perfection is the arch enemy of good enough. You know, for some random day you want to upgrade to an authentic bag, have at it. But I just need to get this bag done because Halloween's in a couple days and that's when I need it. And I didn't want to spend $100. Alright, now I'm going to come back here, take these points off, and then I'm going to reuse them on the sides. So you can do it different ways. I'm hoping I can just come in here because I don't want to use a seam ripper unless I absolutely have to. And I don't want to cut the bag. So I got to be very careful doing this. And once you kind of pop some of the seam, it should go pretty easy. This is a seam ripper. It's got a nice little red ball in there like this. And if you don't want to be patient with a pair of scissors or some sort of straight edge, the seam ripper really does the job. I'll post down below in case you're interested. You have to be careful no matter what you're doing because you don't want to cut into the fabric. The seam ripper really is speeding things along. You just put the, you're careful pointing this towards yourself. You probably should go away from yourself. Just find a seam and just pick at it with this tool and it comes right out. I've got both hard points off of the bag and I've swapped out the black hardware for this dark dirty bronze hardware that matches this piece. So it looks like it goes together. So I have the center of the bag, I've pinned this in place, and now I'm just going to use the upholstery thread and start sewing it in. Not like I'm going to carry a 50-pound load in this bag, but it's got to be good enough. Now that one side is done, and that's pretty tight, flip it over, pin it in place, and do the other side. So I finished the detail on that, and even if it doesn't look the same color, it just gives the bag more character. Maybe Indy had a problem with the straps, and so he had to reinforce them in the field. Just like any other prop, it's a character. It's part of the character, but it's also a character on its own. Next piece that I want to do to this bag is put a gas mask component right here. It's a lid off of a jar. This is just the top of a tomato paste can using one of those can openers that open up on the side. The great thing about this side opening can opener is it leaves a nice smooth edge. And then you could paint that, but I like the anodized look that you get with using Sharpie markers. Now, this is a super big fat Sharpie, and I use this for all sorts of props because it has great coverage. But you could use a smaller one that has a bit of a pad to it. You don't see a bunch of lines. Let it dry overnight. If you're really concerned about it, I guess you could clear coat it. I kind of like it, and if it gets roughed up and scuffed up a little bit, it just looks more like the character of the bag. It's been around a little bit. And I'm going to use what they call a Chicago screw. And the Chicago screw is a great little device that I encourage everyone to get some if you're making any kind of costumes, leather, whatever it is, because it's got this end, and it screws together. So it comes in two pieces. I've seen pictures where this is just silver, and then these two pieces come together like that, and it goes into the bag. It's going to be really hard to show you that detail, so what I'm going to do is take one of these pieces that I cut off, and I'll show you how I'm going to do this. So this is an awl or a scratch awl, and I usually put a cork on the end because this thing is really sharp. I penetrated the bag. You can see right where this Chicago screw is going in. The thickness of the Chicago screw barrel is about the thickness of this awl. So that works out good. And so run it in here like this. If you can run it in on the other side, the opposite side, that's better. Twist it around a lot, and then you put this together. There's the barrel, and you push it through. Since this is thin material, I'm going to just take a black washer and push it in place to make up the difference in the cylinder. I want to have a nice tight fit. Even if it doesn't go all the way over, when you put the screw in piece. So once you have that in place, just tighten it down with a screwdriver. And that's a nice tight fit on your bag. That's not going anywhere. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add it right here. Really adds a lot. All these different options just add more character and get the bag closer to screen accurate. And you can trim this off or stitch it back like that and get it more screen accurate because the bag comes up here, but I'm not that concerned about it. Then you can always take some gold leaf rub and buff, tape this off so you don't get it on the bag, and just rub that on, and it will give it this kind of finish, which will be in line with everything else. As luck would have it, I do have some of these. So I'm going to swap out these black ones for these gold ones. And maybe rough them up a little bit so they look worn and torn. It's a tool that comes with the kit. You just put the smooth side on there, you bring it down here, put it on a hard surface. You've got a little star pattern here. You put that in the center, and I like to hold a wrench or something to hold it so I don't hit my thumb, and then smack it, and there you go. Now that's a little shiny, so we might have to knock that down a little bit. Or you could just, instead of getting these shiny gold ones, you could go with something more along the lines of this. And how I take the old ones off is I just put a screwdriver under there and just pry it off. So here you can see the original shine, and what I actually did to it is I just coated it with a Sharpie like that, and then just took a wet paper towel. Just let it do its thing. Maybe do it a couple times just to knock it down. Just enough to kind of age it out like that. If you wanted to do rub and buff on the original black buttons, you just put them on there like this. And see, you're getting kind of the same effect. How close are you? See, you're pretty close to that. That actually might be the better way. Dry out for a little bit. Actually, I think I like this better than this, because it goes more in line with this. So that's the one. And you just put a little bit of rub and buff. It really doesn't take much at all. Just put a little on there and then let it dry a little bit. Don't go this way unless you actually have those snaps. Go with rub and buff, because rub and buff is awesome on props. I do it all the time. Yeah, see, that's a much better match. It looks a lot more worn. Maybe I'll actually do rub and buff on there. It has a much better look on it. Like all my builds, I try to provide you options. Thumbs up and comments, always appreciated. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in all sorts of designs, making and breaking things, home repairs, costumes, cosplay, and props, check out my channel and please subscribe, because you never know what costume or rail cup you're gonna see.